The movie starts with Melinda arriving at a gas station. She gets out of her car to have a smoke and walks over to a man who is also filling up his car. The man is smoking too, so Melinda warns him about the dangers of smoking near fuel pumps. Even though there's a big no smoking sign in the background, the man doesn't seem to care. She tells him that smoking isn't the problem, it's just where he's doing it. The man gets angry and yells at Melinda, saying he's not stupid and is careful with his cigarette. Melinda then leaves him and goes into the Gap gas station. Sheila the cashier tells her she needs to restock items and clean the toilets because Diane didn't do it. Melinda agrees and quickly changes into her work clothes. While restocking, she talks to a customer who is looking at the snacks. She suggests he try the pistachios and offers to refund his money if he doesn't like them. She tells him her name, but the man doesn't seem interested. Later, while cleaning the toilets, Melinda is seen looking at secret photos she took of a cop who often comes to the gas station. The man walks and gets upset, telling her that he can't use the men's room while she's in there. Meanwhile, Sheila is watching a video of fancy ladies twerking. She tricks Melinda into doing a silly twerk, secretly recording it and posting it online. At the same time, a suspicious man arrives at the gas station. An elderly man named Fred walks in and asks for Sheila at the register. At the register, he mentions that they talked 2 days ago, and because Sheila had complained about her feet hurting, he brought her some padded insoles. Melinda accepts the gift on Sheila's behalf, but Sheila doesn't want it, saying Fred comes every night and she doesn't want anything between them. Fred walks away disappointed, but Melinda stops him and tells him the insoles fit her perfectly, trying to cheer him up. The suspicious man, Billy, who pulled in earlier, gets out of his car and hides a revolver in the back of his pants. Melinda introduces herself to him, and he asks if anyone else is working in the store. He then asks for cigarettes. Just as a police car shows up, the cop who Melinda had been stalking gets out of the car, and they seem to know each other. Billy watches the cop tensely from inside the store. Sheila notices him and asks if he needs help. He says he's looking for condoms, and after 5 minutes of browsing, Sheila helps him choose some outside. Melinda asks Officer Lou for a ride in his new cop car. He turns down her request due to his strict schedule. She jokes about getting herself arrested so he'd have to take her in. He promises to take her for a ride later and goes inside to get a coffee. Meanwhile, Billy heads to the bathroom while Officer Lou is at the register. The officer jokes about sex-enhancing tablets on the counter, and Sheila notices Melinda taking pictures of him again, yelling at her to stop. Melinda drops her phone and Officer Lou reassures her that he's broken his phone before too. He then gets a call and leaves immediately. Sheila shames Melinda for taking candid photos of people calling her a creep. Melinda steps outside for a cigarette on the verge of tears. When she returns, she finds herself at the wrong end of Billy's revolver. He orders her to stand next to Sheila, stating that he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He explains that he needs money because people are after him and want to kill him. Sheila, tired of his talking, tells him to hurry up with the robbery. He demands all the money from the registers and the safe room, but Sheila informs him they don't have access to the safe, and there's less than $100 in the register because people don't pay with cash anymore. Billy fires his gun. Melinda asks if the money will be enough to pay off his debt to the bike. She decides to help him by getting the money from the safe. While she's packing the money, 2 customers walk in. Sheila remains calm and tries not to make a scene. Melinda looks in the mirror and unbuttons her shirt to appeal to Billy. The tension rises as she cannot give change to the customer. Billy watches anxiously from behind the shelves. The customer asks for directions, and Sheila writes them down, slipping in a note to call 911, but before the customer can read it, Melinda appears and crumples the paper once the customers leave. Billy walks to the counter and asks for the bag. Melinda hesitates to give him the money and asks where he plans to go after this. She wants to go with him, but Billy doesn't really want to take her. They argue over the money, and Billy gets physical, ultimately taking the backpack. Sheila calls him out for being a coward and bullying 2 women with a gun. Billy loses his temper, dragging Sheila out from behind the counter. He orders Melinda to lock the doors and give him her phone. They go to one of the back rooms while Melinda, disappointed, walks to the front. She buttons her shirt back up, grabs hot coffee, and pours it on her hand without flinching. She then walks to the back room and pours the coffee all over Billy's face, knocking him out with a fire extinguisher as he falls. Billy accidentally pulls the trigger, killing Sheila. When Billy wakes up, he sees that Melinda has cleaned up and wrapped Sheila's body in a tarp. He insists he had no intention of killing anyone, but when he tries to stand, he realizes he's tied to a chair. Melinda sits in front of him calm and silent. She questions why he didn't take her with him, and Billy tries to explain that the situation is just crazy. Melinda hasn't called the cops because she's unsure of her plans. He tries to convince her they're a comp and urges her to untie him. She explains that they were on the same team from the start. Billy tries to convince her that he didn't believe her at first and asks if she's unhappy with her life because she works at a gas station. Melinda begins to deliver a manifesto about the social benefits of gas stations, while Billy complains that his face really hurts. She grabs some painkillers from the front, and in the background we hear an angry customer trying to get inside the gas station. They discuss their plan to get out together when Melinda tells Billy she has a boyfriend. He seems shocked by this. She feeds Billy more painkillers, but he soon realizes that she's given him sexual enhancers instead of the painkillers he asked for. Melinda then reveals that she knows he's lying and wouldn't leave with her. She blindfolds him and attempts to rape him somehow. Billy breaks free, knocking himself out by running into a shelf. Melinda walks out with the money disoriented. She finally lets in the guy who was banging on the door earlier. He complains about the lack of coffee, and Melinda aims the gun at her head without him noticing, but she quickly changes her mind and puts the gun down. She bursts into tears and tells the guy to leave her alone. She calls 911, but Sheila's boyfriend Perry walks in. He asks for Sheila, but Melinda says she already left. He tries calling Sheila's phone and hears it buzzing on the ground, suspicious. Perry confronts Melinda, but she lies, saying Sheila left with a guy to a motel. Somehow Perry believes her and leaves to check the motel, trying to cover her tracks. Melinda runs outside and grabs a shovel, but a biker gang pulls up to the gas station. They ask if anything happened that night and describe Billy asking if he's been around. Melinda asks if they do illegal things like getting rid of dead bodies. They insist on going inside, and she pulls a gun on them. They also draw their guns, but their boss orders them to stand down, noting that there are cameras everywhere. He says they'll take a look around for their friend, and if they don't find him, they'll be back once they leave. Melinda tries to break the lock to erase the camera footage but fails. She goes outside for a cigarette, which gives her the idea to burn the whole place down. She fills up 2 canisters with gasoline and brings them back to the counter as she's about to pour the gasoline. Officer Lou walks in gun drawn and asks if she's seen anyone suspicious. He explains that Billy's car is stolen, the one he's been looking for, and that the keys are still in the ignition, so the driver must be nearby. He wants to check the tapes, but Melinda tells him only Diane has the keys, so he decides to call her while he's on the phone. Melinda slips the revolver into her pocket. Melinda then explains that she did see a suspicious man who left for the motel in a green Jeep before leaving. Officer Lou wants to do a quick sweep of the store. Melinda becomes frustrated, almost crying. He checks every room in the back and finds everything in order. Surprised, Melinda quickly hides the gun she pointed at him earlier. He gives her his phone number and leaves to check out the motel. Melinda checks the back room again and finds it empty with the cable ties she used to tie up. Billy lying on the floor. She decides to go ahead with her plan to burn down the gas station, but then she hears strange fuming noises coming from the back, and suddenly the lights go out. She can't leave through the front because the door isn't working just then. Billy comes back into the store, yelling at Melinda. She warns him about the gasoline on the floor, threatening to set the whole place on fire at that moment. Perry, who had left earlier, pulls up outside and starts banging on the front door, asking to be let in. Melinda tries to escape through the back, but Billy has already blocked the exit with a dumpster. Billy runs to the front and tells Perry that Melinda has gone crazy and kills Sheila as Perry confronts Melinda. Billy tackles him from behind and kills him, then Billy takes Perry's van, leaving Melinda in shock and a panic. Melinda calls Officer Lou, but before she can say much, Billy crashes through the front entrance with the van. She tries to apologize to Billy, but he's too angry to listen and wants revenge when he tries to shoot her. The gun that had gasoline on it catches fire. Billy drops the gun, and the gasoline-covered floor ignites. Melinda barely escapes the fire, but she burns her legs on the way out. The police arrive just in time, and Officer Lou helps her to safety. The gas station is quickly consumed by flames. Later, Melinda is sitting in the back of an ambulance with her legs bandaged, looking shocked. Lou stands by her, telling her that everything is over. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next video.